before your eyes.
It's tough. You have to win. You have to win a lot, and you have to stand out.
You just have to outrace them when it comes down to that.
If you want to win a championship, if you want to be consistent, patience is gonna be what gets you there.
The fun part is driving, and that's what I've really learned the last couple of years. You know, 10% of what my job is getting in the car on the weekend, going out and driving. 90% of it is finding the funds to get in the car.
Chasing sponsors is always going to be at the top of any driver's list, and especially somebody that's coming up through the ranks.
Obviously, you know, you see guys now that can buy seats and stuff like that, but I mean, you have to be winning. Plain as that.
These are things you have to learn. You have to learn to start on pole and to win from pole. You have to learn how to lead every lap. You have to learn how to manage that throughout the race. You have to learn all these things.
Being in the lead is a huge advantage, especially with these cars, relying a lot on downforce. You know, being in the lead with clean air is a big advantage.
All of a sudden, when you draft up on someone, you get aero wash, and you can actually kill your tires behind someone. So it's very strategic. I mean, when you actually get up on someone, you have to make the move immediately in order to get by them and save your tires.
So if I brake early, going into a corner, and I'm, say, a second and a half ahead, they're going to charge really hard to try and catch up to me, and I expect that. But what that does is it ruins their tires a little bit because they're charging so hard, they might have a lockup, whatever it is, and they're making mistakes.
There's no chance that anybody can pass unless I make a mistake, you know, so I just need to focus on just like a normal lapping or qualifying session, just making sure I hit my marks every time.
My favorite is when I'm not starting on pole. I'm actually starting second, third, fourth, or fifth, where I actually have to race to get there. That's the most enjoyable races for me.
In theory, I think you need a balance, but you have to be patient. And you have to learn, just as a kid, if you're starting really young, you have to learn those things. It's not gonna come from night and day.
You see a lot of drivers that they come out of karting or they come out of lower level in cars and they jump into a bigger car and they make a lot of mistakes, but they're really quick. They may be really quick, but they make mistakes throughout the session, and it ends up adding up to where you lose more than actually gain when you're going fast.
I remember my first race in when I was leading in Formula 4. You know, I was still young. I was 15 at the time. I spun out. So yeah, some practice, I was massively nervous.
When you get worked up or you get irritated or annoyed, knowing that you're struggling it's not gonna help, because when you go on track you're gonna be driving angry. You have to be relaxed.
Another important aspect of racing that I've learned is having to battle through adversity. You know, not being on pace, you know, at the beginning of the weekend, and just having to stay positive.
I expect that day to come where we don't do well and I get brought down, and I need to understand that day will come, and that way I can bring myself back up.
That's the thing about being a race car driver. You got to flip the switch in an instant, and you know, as soon as I put on the helmet, you know, I'm in race mode.
You can learn how to attack in a go-kart, and I think that's really important. You look at a guy like Oliver Askew, who was Team USA. We went to Europe together for the Walter Hayes Trophy. He is incredibly good at karting racecraft, and he's transferred that right over to race cars.
I was able to come out of karts and fortunate enough to be, you know, on pace right away, but I've learned that the racecraft can be very different in cars. I
mean, obviously, the racecraft and how you set up a pass is maybe similar, but at any given karting event, almost every corner is a passing opportunity.
I'd say it's a bit more spread out than go-kart racing, where you're just bumper to bumper and there is contact. I mean, there is contact in this sport too, but we try to stay away from it because the cars are much more fragile.
When I was in karts, you could lunge someone, you know, you can use a bit of side pod, that's okay. In cars, all of a sudden you use a side pod and you're looking at a crash damage bill and another angry racer.
Yeah, you still have to be aggressive. It has to be a balance.
The biggest is racecraft and understanding how to work with the team and the way the car works.
Spend time with your team. When I was living in England, I spent a lot of time in the workshop just bonding with the boys, and it helps a lot. You know, they want you to win, and it kind of turns you into a #1 driver role, where if they like you more than your teammate, you're spending more time with them, they're going to want you to win more. They're going to want to do extra stuff for you.
You kind of have to be the whole package, and that's what anybody in the pinnacle of race, or like Mike Hole or Chip Ganassi, someone like that will say. They'll say you need to be full package. You need to be able to talk well in front of a camera, represent the sponsors well, be a good driver, win races, not crash the car, always be quick and consistent and adapt to any situation. So it's a lot. It really is a lot.